prescribed for action is better than inaction. A man cannot even maintain his physical body without work. So, niyatam means the prescribed duties. Kuru karma tvam, you should do that. Kuru means Arjun here. No, sorry. Kuru means do. Karma tvam, you should do your duties. Karma jayo hi akarmana, which means to do some work is better than to do without
Akarmana.
Yeah, akarmana.
So karma is better than akarma. Jaya is better.
Yes. Sharira yatrapi yachate na prasiddhyet akarmana. One cannot maintain sharira without any work, which is akarmana.
Yeah. Sharir Yatra. Anyone remember something last week we discussed? Sharir Yatra. Vrindavan Yatra. Okay. Anyone else remember something else? We talked about Sharir Yatra, like Vrindavan Yatra, Mayapur Yatra.
Sitting on his body, we discussed.
Yeah.
He's having a journey.
So this Sharir is doing a yatra in different yogas.
Slowly sitting on the body.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, let's move forward. 3.9, that's the important one. Who wants to do this one? Very nice verse.
Jagannath karma no mitra, lokoyam karma bandhanam, tad artham karma kaunteya, mukta sangha samachara. Translation: work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed. Otherwise, work causes bondage in this material world. Therefore, O son of Kunti, perform your prescribed duties for his satisfaction, and in that way you will always remain free from bondage. Like we always say, like whenever we're doing any work, we should not get attached to it. Be it, agar hum seva bhi kar rahe hain, we should not attach to the seva. We should only do it for the pleasure of Krishna. Because if we do, like sometimes we see, like in temple also, many devotees get attached to the seva. Then also they take pride, they take starting credit on it. Ki, see, I have done this, I have done this. So like any, in material life and as well as in devotional life, we should like remain detached from anything we do.
Yeah. Should we take some words here, Mataji? And before I go there, as Mataji said, we should not get attached to service. Sorry, is it right, wrong? Any variations we can do?
Can attach to service.
We can be attached to the service. Amrit Prabhu, what do you say?
We should be open to any service.
Open to any service, okay. Diplomatic statement. Anyone else?
Any service we do for Krishna, there's no bondage.
Yeah, we're not talking about bondage as yet, although your line is correct. I just want to discuss on that point. Should get attached to the service?
Attached to the result of the service, be it a good or a bad feedback.
Very good, very good. We're getting there a little bit more opening. Is there. So one line is correct. But suppose tomorrow my service is taken away. I get angry, right? I can't do my service because my body is sick now. What happens? Just analyzing, not wrong, just expanding. So Mata, you said, yeah, don't get attached to the fruits of the seva. That's very nice. In one of the temple, I will not name it. Some devotees used to cook Rajbhog for Krishna. And what happens, whoever will cook the Rajbhog will take the most amount of Rajbhog. So in that temple, the president, and I heard in a class, it's not a criticism to anyone. So they made a rule, whoever will cook the Rajbhog is not allowed to take any Rajbhog on that day. Otherwise, they say, oh, Rasgulla kaisa banaya? You know, they want their glorification for something, right? So they are not allowed to take. Now, do you still get attached to service?
Of course, like being a
Yeah. Now you're saying.
Yeah. But like according to the Shastra, we should not.
Yeah, and that's not get attached to the fruits of the seva. Rasgulla jaisa bhi hai, Krishna ne khaya hai, right? And then you eat without extra salt. Sorry, dal mein namak kam hai, to namak kam hai, you know. Anyway, it's good idea to put extra salt on the plate. No, I'm not kidding. It happens in the temple also. This is temple standard. Put extra salt, chili, achar for Krishna, because if salt is less, he can't ask. He can ask, not yet. So, more Mata?
If we are attached to doing the service, we will put our best effort to get good service.
As Amrit Prabhu said, I'm just combining that. So get attached to service, that's okay, but ultimately get attached to service attitude. Open to any seva. There can be 3 types of seva on any given day. One seva which you like he loves book distribution and he's good at it, and that's good, right? But tomorrow he may be asked to wash dishes for Krishna. We'll say, nahi, I'm a book distributor, I'm a pujari, I'm a preacher. Why should I? Should we do it, Gujarat Prabhu? Aaj bole bartan dhone. Janmashtami here, there's a lot of seva in the kitchen. What would you say?
Yes.
No, Prabhu, I'm a Brahman. How can you ask me to do it? Huh? Yes or no? Yes? नहीं, अभी सब लोग hesitate कर रहे हैं. बर्तन धोने में problem है.
मैं तो खाना बनाऊंगा, हाथ दर्द हो रहा है यहाँ पे.
वो आपका personal है. You understand the point? The first is 3 types of services. One is what you like. You like cooking, you like deity worship, whatever. That's fine, and you should do that. But you should be open for, as Amrit Prabhu said, whatever is the need of the day. If temple needs something, pocha lagana, jhad lo. Whoever you are, that doesn't matter. All the sevas are ultimate platform. And the third seva is we should be doing whatever our authority tells us to do. Not on the immediate need of the day. I'm talking now. Prabhu, I think you should start preaching. No, Prabhuji, I'm very humble. I cannot preach. No, Prabhu, you should start doing that. So you will not be comfortable. They know better than you. Your Guru Maharaj will know better than you what you are good at, which you may not recognize, he will recognize. And he said, now you start doing some deity worship. Take Brahman initiation. Go in the deity. No, Maharaj, I can't do. I'm a rascal. No, Maharaj is telling you to do it. So although you're not comfortable initially, start doing that seva. So there are 3 types of sevas which you should start. Be open about it actually. Now you cannot always wash the dishes if you are good in Shastra, right? You can wash the dishes, but not all the time. So sometimes you have liking. You want to cook for Krishna. You can every time you cannot just worship Krishna. I want to cook for Krishna, and that's fine. But there is an opportunity for other sevas as well, so we should be open. Now, coming back to the verse, whenever we do the revision, my idea of revision is take the verse, take the words as best as possible, then expand. Rather we expand first and then come to this. So let's go to the verse, Mataji. Yagyarthat. What does Yagyarthat mean?
Done only for the sake of Krishna's
So
pleasure.
Yagya Artha. Artha means hetu, business. Yagya means yag. What does Yagya mean?
Yagya means like
Vishnu.
Yeah.
Yagya is the name of Lord Vishnu. Karmanon Aryatra. So if you do for Yagya means Lord Vishnu, karma, that is Mukta Sangha Samachar. That will liberate you. But if you Anyatra, if you do it other way, that means you're not doing for Vishnu. If you're not doing for Vishnu, whom you are doing for? Apne liye. What will Lokoyam Karma Bandhana. Then what will happen? You'll get Karma Bandhana. You'll get bondage. So any activity you do for yourself, what will happen? It will become the reason for your bondage. If you do the same activity for Lord Vishnu, that will become the reason for your Mukta Sangha. That's very simple. Tadartham. So Tadartham, that's why, He Kunti Putra, you should do karma for what? Yagyartha. So every activity when we do, we should analyze, is it for Lord Vishnu's pleasure or for my pleasure? If it is Lord Vishnu's pleasure, go for it. Lord Vishnu will be happy or his representative will be happy. But if it is for my pleasure, what will happen? It will bind. So very, very clear message of this verse. Okay, let's go to the 10th one. Inshan Prabhuji, he is here. Just settle down. 3.10, who wants to do? What do you want to do? Just a translation.
In the beginning of creation, the Lord of all creatures
That's
sent forth
something.
generations of men and demigods, along with sacrifices for Vishnu, and blessed them by saying, "Be thou happy by this yajna sacrifice, because its performance will bestow upon you everything desirable for living happily and achieving liberation." So we go word by word.
Any important message, Mataji? You have any notes you can refer? Anyone else can help? That's okay. Anyone can do.
Prajapati,
Yes, Prajapati means?
the Lord of creation.
Okay, so we discussed 2 meanings of Prajapati, remember? one can be Lord Vishnu as well, and that can be Brahmaji as well. Prabhupada has actually written both. So in the translation, if you say sacrifice for Lord Vishnu, and in the purport is also Brahmaji. If you do the yagyas, what will happen? Ishtakam dhok. With this sort of yagyas, they will fulfill all your desires. That's what we discussed last week. No, this yajna itself will fulfill all your desires, because this is how the system is created. By thou happy with this yajna, because the performer will bestow upon you everything desirable for living happily and achieving liberation. Yes. Ghanashyam Prabhuji, whenever you are ready.
I'm ready.
It's good. The laptop is here, it's getting recorded. So when you speak, it will be better voice here, Prabhuji.
Sure. You please.
Yeah, we'll just do a quick one, Prabhu. 311. Who has not done today? Prabhuji, aap kariye. Okay, he's too shy. Giriraj Prabhuji.
The demigod being pleased by sacrifices which also please you, and thus by the cooperation between men and demigods, prosperity will begin for all. So Krishna is explaining here that even by the yajnas which we have discussed in the previous for the Prajapati, which two Prabhupada explained, two Prajapatis, Lord Krishna and also Brahmaji. And if we keep doing the yajnas or sacrifice, Krishna said that it will automatically, they will be satisfied. But as a Krishna consciousness, we understand we should do all the sacrifices towards Krishna. So that automatically, if we are giving the water to the root, automatically the trees will flourish. So that's what I.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji. Just take one word here, bhavayata. So if you see the second word, it's been used 3 times in the verse.
Yes.
And if you see Prabhupada's writing, having pleased. So devan bhavyata nena. So if devatas are pleased with the yajna, which we are discussing, te deva bhavayantuva. So the second bhavyantu will please. So if they are pleased, what will happen? They will give you everything what we need.
Yes.
Parasparam bhavyanta. So they're pleasing each other. It's a very nice ecosystem which Krishna has created. Shreya param apsit. You will get your Shreya, long-term benefit.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move to the 12th. P12. Who is the Keshav Prabhuji? Would you like to read?
These are the various necessities of the life, demigods being satisfied by the performance of yajna, the sacrifice, who will supply all necessities to you. But he who enjoys such gifts without offering them, it demigods in return, and is certainly a thief. So in the last class, I just wanted to say that if we don't follow the order of Krishna, and that is what we do, that refer to here as a thief here. So whatever we do, and without offering to Krishna, whatever we do, work or prasad or any kind of offerings that we do, without offering to the Lord, it's recording.
What's the word for thief in the verse?
Stena.
You should remember this. It comes at many places. So, aparadebhyo, ter daptan aparadebhyo. If you don't give to demigods, here is different demigods. Yo bhumte means bhogna. For your self-satisfaction. You are what? Stena. You are a chore. You are a thief. Okay, let's do 13, which is again famous verse. Hare Krishna. You want to do 13?
So, Yaguna Shishta Asana Santo. Asana means eating. Yaguna Shishta Asana Santo means Santa. The intelligent people, the pious people that eat the food offered in sacrifice, Yaguna. Munchate Sarva Kilvishay. Sarva Kilvishay means they get free from all sufferings. Munjate Tetva Agam Papa. Agam Papa is those who eat the others eat sin. Why do they eat sin? Ye Pachanti Atma Karana. Because they eat for the own self-gratification instead of offering to the sacrifice.
Thank you. Word to word pata hai. So what should we do? What's the one line message if you have to take from this verse? A positive message? So what's the word, Sanskrit word? Yagyashishta. We should always accept Yagyashishta, which is offered in the yajna, and whatever remnants is there for to Lord Vishnu. That. And what about our clothes? How do we offer our clothes to yajna? They will get burnt.
Um,
Huh? Like we should offer everything, right? That's what it's saying. If you do Pachanti Atma Karanat, you're just doing for your sense gratification, then it's not offered. My kurta is not offered. Then it's a chori ka kurta. What should we do, Prabhu?
वो अभी तो वो दिखाते हैं भगवान जी ये देख रहे हैं
No. So it's not just a fire yajna which we are talking. Yajna is a principle, as we discussed earlier as well. Everything should be done from yajna perspective. We are offering to Lord Vishnu. Now, how do you offer your car? You don't give it to Ghanshyam Prabhu. Keep it on the altar.
I don't mind.
I don't mind. He is going to make a big temple. Real car will go on the altar. So it's a matter of principle rather than a physical touching or physical offering to the fire. Fire is one sort of yajna. We call it Sankirtan Yajna. We don't carry fire around. We're glorifying Krishna. Okay, so this very, very famous verse, and just the response of vegetarian diet as well. You remember? Vegetables also have life, as people say. Why do you eat vegetables? They also have life. This is one of the verses we can say. Okay, 3:14, we'll do quickly, 3:14 and 15.
Wasn't there in previous
It wasn't there. Okay. Who's next? Yes, Prabhuji or Hari Gopal Prabhuji? Anyone? Two more verses.
Anad Bhavanti Bhutan, Adhyat Anubhava, Yajnat Bhavati Arjuna, Yajnat Karma Samudhava. So Anad Bhavanti Bhutan, and so Bhutan is really Anad Bhavanti Bhavanti will based on Anad. Parjanyat Anna Sambhava. So Parjanyat Anna Sambhava means which are produced for the specifically, and then when Yajna Bhavati Parjanya, Yajna Karma Samudbhava. So rains are produced from the sacrifice to the demigods, and Yajna is born from the food. So that's the we talked about.
So 3:14 and 3:15 we discussed together. There's a chart, if you remember, which I shared. There's a Ram Prabhu is here. Is that chart here on your laptop, Prabhu? Is that photo here, which I shared in the WhatsApp? Okay, no problem. No problem. But we all remember that photo, right? There's a cycle. 3:15. Who's the last one? Yes, Prabhuji? If we are okay.
15 regulated activities are prescribed in the Vedas, and Vedas are directly manifested from Supreme Personality of Godhead. Consequently, the all pervading transcendence and eternal situated in acts of sacrifices. So, as you said, 3:14 and 3:15, we talked about the same thing. We do the yajna, and then it goes like in form of rain, it comes back to the earth, and then from there the seed grows and we consume it. So everything is, then we offer it to Krishna and then consume it. So we have that chant.
Little bit more. Little bit more if someone wants to help.
We are talking about between Supreme and rest of the activities that are happening. So for example, people who do sacrifices for the gods. But ultimately, what's happened is everything is coming from Krishna. That's superseding. That is one aspect of it. Second thing that we can look at here is now offering is a part of Vedas. It's a part of having some, and that it's but what Krishna is establishing the path is whatever you will ultimately is receiving over that has been happening.
Can we look at the verse here? Then we'll know what. So if we can relate it back, just 1 second. I'm just opening the previous verse. So look at 3:14 end.
If I remember the one who last people we talked about this, all dependence on the Krishna Dasa principle.
Yes.
Everything comes.
Yeah. So we just establish it in the verse. That is correct, Prabhu. So if you look at 3:14, everyone can go. What's the last word? Yajna karma samudbhavaha. So where is yajnas coming from? Yajna is born of prescribed duties. Now go to 315. What's the first word in 315 and the last word in 314? Karma, karma, right? So this is just going together basically. Where does this karma coming from? Brahmodbhavam Vidhi. And Prabhupada writes, they are prescribed in the Vedas. Isn't it correct? So our prescribed duties, where do they come from? From Vedas. And Veda, where do they come from? From Akshara. Akshara who is Akshara? Is Krishna. So Vedas are, Veda Vani is Krishna's Vani, right? So that is coming from Krishna. Tasmat Sarvatam Brahma Nityam Yat. Okay, let's stop here. It's already 4:35. Go to 316. And this is the first verse for today, which Ghanashyam Prabhu will take. Very good, Arvind. Your computer. Very good. Because you are looking there. Yeah. So if it, you need this. Yeah. It's steady now. Yes, there are a few, like 2 or 3. No, it's very rich. Let's start our open. Video. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Thank you all very much. Even though we do Bhakti Sastri degree at an online course, from time to time, we always encourage the devotees to come together. So you know who you have been seeing online. How many of you have that experience? You look at a devotee and you think this is how the devotee looks, but then when you look at them in person, they look completely different. Happens. We don't want to be like that. That's why we say from time to time, we have to do. So I requested Hemant Chaitanya Prabhu, and he put me on the hot seat today as a punishment.
I'm waiting for it.
So I was requesting Hemant Chaitanya Prabhu to do it more frequently, at least once every quarter, one class or once for every unit, something like that. So, you get to know each other more. And most importantly, you take a lot of memories. Normally, our mind creates mental impression based on time and space. Like if I ask you, what were you doing on New Year's Day last year? Slowly your mind will remember, okay, 31st, 1st January, you remember the place also. So that's why associating with the devotees in person is very important. And more so, even when you sit and attend the class, you will remember over a period of time, some points which some devotee said in the class, and you were seated at a certain spot on a certain time of the day. You may not remember everything, but something that really matters to you, it will pierce your heart, you will remember based on time and space. So as much as possible, we need to attend face-to-face so we can take in-person association, but may not be practical. So we are allowing it to go online. So whenever in future, definitely I won't come. Hemant Chaitanya Prabhu asks for face-to-face class, please do make time and please do attend it. You definitely won't regret. As I said, you will remember so much more. So we are in the
one thing on that. The first Bhakti Sastri batch we had face-to-face. That was the best batch. Even students also. Maybe this person, if you can come this way. What memories were there? Mataji remembers that. Although it was a smaller batch, it was very, very nice. You just come every week. There was no Zoom that time. We're talking like 10 years ago, more than that. And then I'll go overseas, probably will take those classes. But it was the best thing because you remember even the faces, you remember so many other things, and you talk to each other, you see each other, you take prasad with each other, and the concepts go much deeper. Nowadays, Zoom is there, and then half of us we are there, half of us we are outside the class. While we are in the class, we are already out of the class.
Yeah, separated energy.
Separated energy.
Only your login is there in your place.
That's why we request all of you to switch on the camera so that 2 hours you can just sit and hear whatever we are discussing. So it's very nice.
When you sit in person, it's much easier to pass the 2 hours when sitting in front of computer can be torturous. Okay,
Unless you are speaking.
yes, that's a good one. Unless you are a preacher. Talking is always easy.
This thing is difficult.
So thank you all very much. I was happy to sit through some of the verses when you were revising. We are in the last verse of this particular section where Krishna is speaking about the cycle of sacrifice. Annat bhavanti bhutani parjanyat anna sambhavaha. Who can complete the verse? Okay, you can look and read. Annat bhavanti bhutani parjanyat anna sambhava. Yes. Yajna karma samudbhava. Yes. Karma. Brahmodbhavam vidhi. Brahmaksharam. Samudbhavam. Tasmat sarvagatam. Brahma. 3 times. On the 3 lines you'll see Brahma coming again and again. Karma Brahmodbhavam vidhi. Brahmaksharam. Samudbhavam. Tasmat sarvagatam. Brahma. Nityam yajna pratishthitam. So this is the whole cycle of sacrifice. All living entities subsist on food grains. Food grains come from rains. Rains come from sacrifice. Sacrifice comes from karma. And karma comes from Brahma, which is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Not Lord Brahma, who we worship as creator. Here Brahma refers to the all-pervading transcendence. Therefore, the all-pervading transcendence is eternally situated on the acts of sacrifice. That's how Krishna finishes. Normally, if you look in the modern days, people think, politicians especially, you will see in many countries, they think for solving water problem, if they construct more dams or create more lakes. Recently, they have gone even a step further. Heard about cloud seeding? So they send the drones up and they spray some hygroscopic material, like for example, silver iodide, potassium iodide, like that. They would then get the clouds to precipitate and they will get the rain. Problem is, you can do that much, but you can't control which direction cloud is going to go. Second thing is, it's going to cost millions of dollars. During COVID time, I think one of the Arabian country, UAE did that. And they did actually get, but they had a storm. You get more rain when you don't need it. And it costed them millions of dollars also. They use even, infrared laser also, you will see. So, but as such, if you look at cloud, manda jaladhara, it is just holding the water. The source of water, one way or the other, it's always from the clouds only. Even if there is a, let's say, a perennial spring, how is the water table even for a spring getting charged? Through rains only. If you look at Bhakti Rasamrita Maharaj's project, what is it called? Golakadam. So there, if you see, they build lakes, but Maharaj actually explains in the video, the whole idea of actually them holding water is, so the water table gets charged over the period of time, then it will naturally start to come out as spring. That's the idea. Which means you literally have to fill up the whole hill with water holding it. Okay, so in any case, if you see either directly or indirectly, even we may see glaciers, even we may see some springs, perennial rivers coming. The source of water is always the rain. There is no artificial way of bringing rain. Like, as I said, cloud seeding they do, but they are not creating any water. Whatever that's there, they are trying to do. That's all. As I said, nobody can control how much quantity of rain it comes. Nobody can control which direction the cloud is going to blow. And what to speak of whatever ill effects which these chemicals actually bring. Okay, so that's not a very natural way to do. Okay, sometimes that argument may come, but the solution for water problem is only yajna. So from this section, we can learn with that cycle of sacrifice. One other application for this I've heard from Bhanuswami Maharaj is sometimes we come across these questions coming, as a Hare Krishnas, we are very rigid. Why should we follow 4 regulative principles? Where is it said? Sometimes other sampradayas, they don't follow that. Is it something which Prabhupada made up, or do we have any reference in the scriptures for 4 regulative principles? Anyone knows? Where do the 4 regulative principles come from? Okay, what's the verse? Good. Okay, you have your phone, Google it. We need to know, we are following, dedicating our lives, at least we need to know what we are following. Abhyartitas, search for the verse. Whoever finds pocket Veda find Abhyartitas Tada Tasmai Sthanali Kalayatato Dyutam Panam Striyasuna Yatra Adharma Chaturvida. Did anyone find? Anju, did you find the verse? Anyone found the verse number? Dyutam Panam Striyasuna Yatra Adharma Chaturvida.
1.17.8.
Okay. 1 point? Okay, 1.17.38. Okay, so if you read the translation, can one of you read the translation? Sanjay Vyas Prabhu, did you find? Read the translation, Prabhu.
Shri Sukal Goswami said, Maharaj Parikshit, thus being petitioned by the personality of Kali, gave him permission to reside in places where gambling, drinking, prostitution, and animal slaughter were performed.
See, this is the verse for 4 regulative principles. In Krishna consciousness, whatever we do, Prabhupada always strictly follow the religious principles only. Now, why is gambling said as one of the 4 regulative principles is that is directly connected to this cycle of sacrifice, this chakram. Why it is or how it is connected? In order to get rain, because we have to live, in order to live, we need grains, and grains come from rain, and rain come from sacrifice. Sacrifice, again, we saw it is coming from prescribed work. Prescribed work comes from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, in order to live in this world, the only way, sustainable way for us to perpetuate our existence as humans in this world is by pleasing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Which means if you need to get anything, you have to follow these principles of scriptures as given by the Supreme Lord. Gambling, what it teaches us is, you just give this much input only and you will get that much output. Understand? It doesn't directly tell, but actually it is challenging this whole cycle of sacrifice. That is why gambling is condemned there. Okay, so this cycle of sacrifice, it brings result. Prabhupada says our process is slow but sure. Always, like if you take even Prabhupada, how he received the instruction from his guru, he was not in a position to fulfill the instruction straight away. But Prabhupada meditated on it. Took him 30 years, 35 years. And then Prabhupada, finally, he was able to fulfill that instruction. So same way, when we follow these scriptures, sometimes we'll come across even people from, agnostic background, atheistic background, people from sometimes even, unfortunately, Appa Sampradayas, some other Sampradayas also. Krishna consciousness is very rigid. Krishna consciousness is not rigid. We simply follow the principles of scriptures. That's all, as given by Krishna. And at the end of the day, if Krishna is pleased, it's all worth it. Okay, it's all justified. So here we are coming to the final verse of this section where Krishna is going to speak about Nishkama Karma Yoga. Now, on principle, Nishkama, as the word implies, Nish means what? Not. Kama means desires. So, Nishkama means no desire. Karma Yoga. So, you do the work and then you offer the results to Krishna. Question to you all is there any difference between Bhakti Yoga and Nishkama Karma Yoga? Because in Bhakti Yoga also we do the same, correct? We do some activity, we don't take the results, we don't have any desires, and we offer the results to Krishna. Nishkama means no desire, karma is there, activity is there, yoga, we are offering the results to Krishna. Question is there any difference between the two? Okay, Sanjay Prabhu.
In Bhakti, there is a desire to please Krishna.
Okay. I take that, Prabhuji. Okay.
There's still an element of wanting.
Wanting what? But then it challenges the very definition, right? If we are wanting results, then how can we call it Nishkama?
Control has to be trying.
Okay, I take that. Anything more, Prabhuji?
Just bhav.
Okay, I take bhav. Any other? Any difference between Nishkama Karma Yoga and Bhakti Yoga? Yes.
In Niskama Karma, we are not attached to the results, but in Bhakti Yoga, we are.
Nishkama means no attachment to results.
Yes, no attachment to the results, yes. But in Bhakti, we are actually pleasing the Lord.
Are we attached to results? In Bhakti Yoga.
pleasing Krishna again is maybe
Okay, I take that. My Rish Prabhu.
One is following the principles as mentioned in the Shastra and then leading everything else.
Which is?
Nishkama.
Okay.
Another one is doing anything for pleasing the devotee of the Lord, whether it's results or whatever it is that you can follow that.
Okay. Yes, Prabhuji. I like that. Okay. There is still difference. Yes, Mataji.
Scratch, we actually start worshipping to Krishna. Like from scratch, you work for Krishna. Whereas in Nishkam Karma Yoga, you're not like, yes, ultimately you're offering the fruits. But in Bhakti Yoga, from the scratch, from the beginning, from negative, you're working for Krishna.
Really? I'm not working like that. Do we in Bhakti also work for results sometimes? Can we say then we are not doing Bhakti? We are only doing Nishkama Karma Yoga? Sanjay Prabhu.
Our bhakti is not pure at the moment.
Okay. So can we call our Bhakti Yoga as Nishkama Karma Yoga?
Not at this stage.
In advanced stage? In advanced stage we can call? Sometimes we come across the technical terms, we don't delve too much into it. But that's okay when we sit in a normal class. In Bhakti Shastri, we are supposed to know. That's why we are Bhakti Shastri. Okay, so as the name implies, Nishkama means no desires. So there is a similarity, definitely. As Harish Prabhu said. What's your initiative name, Prabhu? Hari Gopal. Hari Gopal Prabhu said. So in one sense, there is no difference because Nishkama, I'm not attached to results. Bhakti Yoga also, I'm not attached to results. But there is one difference. Even though you are not attached to results, you are attached to doing a particular work. Whereas in Bhakti Yoga, you are not even attached to doing any work. Surprise, surprise. If you are practicing, if you are saying ourselves as Krishna's devotees, and if our authorities say, do this, and we say, no, I don't want to do. At that point, we are actually doing Nishkama Karma Yoga. We are not doing Bhakti Yoga. So it's a serious business. Many times we practice Bhakti Yoga, but actually we are doing, or rather we are practicing Nishkama Karma Yoga, but actually we are claiming ourselves as like, no, I'm doing Bhakti Yoga, like that. Understand? Nishkama means we are not attached to the results, but we are attached to doing a certain type of work only. Understand? So I like to sweep, fine. But if my authority comes and tells me, all right, Prabhuji, go and help in the kitchen. No. I want to only sweep. And we want to believe that we are humble. But actually, no, that's only Nishkama Karma Yoga. That's not Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga means anything for Krishna means Yasya Prasadat Bhagavad Prasada. Whatever Krishna wants to tell us, he will tell us to Prabhupada, through Prabhupada. It will come to us, Prabhupada's instructions will come to us through our authorities only. Our GBCs are there, our authorities are there, it will come. So we have to be very, very careful. Many times we practice Bhakti, but we feel like, the process is getting a little hackneyed, a little dry. There's not much juice in it because we are not practicing Bhakti in the way how it is supposed to be performed. Okay, so do you see the difference? Nishkama Karma Yoga means you are not attached to results, definitely, but you are attached to doing a certain type of work which you are not ready to let go. So the attachment is not for the results per se, but for a particular type of work. Whereas in Bhakti Yoga, you are not attached to results, not attached to any work also. You take Ambarish Maharaj. We studied that in Matpara devotee, right? Anyone knows that verse? Little bit at least. How did Ambarish Maharaj engage his Savai Manakrishna Padarvindayor? Mind? In service of Krishna. Savai Manakrishna Padarvindayor. Anyone knows that verse? Vachamsi Vaikunta Gunan Varnane. Go to that verse number. Karo Harir Mandira Marjana Deshu, Shrutim Chakarachita Satkatodeya, Mukunda Lingalaya Darshane Drisho. Anyone knows the verse number? Where Prabhupada writes, second chapter, 261. Mukunda Lingalaya Darshane Drisho. 9:4:18. Okay, you can go to Bhagavatam also. Read the translation, one of you. Mohan Vamsi. He is not shy, Prabhu. He is our MC. He's just acting. Okay, read Mohan Vamsi.
Maharaj Amrisha always engaged his mind in meditating upon the lotus feet of Krishna, his words in describing the glories of the Lord, his hands in cleaning the Lord's temple, and his ears in hearing the words spoken by Krishna or about Krishna. He engaged his eyes in seeing the deities of Krishna, Krishna's temples, and Krishna's pastimes, like Mathura and Vrindavan. He engaged his senses of touch in touching the bodies of the Lord's devotees. He engaged his sense of smell in smelling the fragrance of tulsi offered to the Lord. And he engaged his sense of tongue in tasting the Lord's prasad. He engaged his legs in walking to the holy temples and places and temples of the Lord, his head in going down before the Lord, and all his desires in serving the Lord 24 hours a day. Indeed, Maharaj Amrisha never desired anything for his own sense gratification. He engaged all his senses in devotional service in various engagements related to the Lord. This is the way to increase attachment for the Lord and to be completely free from all the material desires.
So Prabhupada gives him as example. Okay, so how we can work in relationship with the Lord. Understand? So here you can't say Ambarish Maharaj is attached to only one type of work and the other one. Understand? So Bhakti Yoga means we are not attached to results. We are not attached to work. Sometimes we give this excuse to ourselves. Oh, that's not my nature. That is okay. But when our authority says, when Prabhupada says, share this knowledge, oh, that doesn't suit my nature. Nothing suited our nature. How many of you have eaten sweets as much as you do now in your karmi life? I don't even know so many names of the sweets actually. Here, 3 times a day, there is sweets. Understand? You know, so nothing is actually based on our nature. We accept the process, but we have to accept it wholeheartedly. That's all. Okay. So what's Nishkama Karma Yoga means? You are not attached to results, but you are attached to work. What type of work you do, you like to do, you feel comfortable, we are attached. There is a certain attachment. Okay. Whereas Bhakti Yoga, there is no attachment. We'll go to the verse and then I can take questions. Okay. Who? You take turns and read the verse?
Anyone can read.
Okay. Anyone can read the verse?
Evam pravartitam chakram.
Go on. Do we repeat? No. See, we are not so used to doing, right? Everything looks a little weird. Okay. Recite every line, everyone repeat back. How is the effect? Yes, something is happening, right? That's why we say, come in person. Okay. Again, Prabhuji.
Evam pravartitam chakram. Aghayo Indriya Ramo. Sampata Sajivati.
Some Matajis can read the translation. One of you.
My dear one does not follow human life. The cycles of sacrifice thus established by the Vedas certainly leads a life full of sin, living only for satisfaction of senses, but the person lives in pain.
Evam pravartitam chakram. Krishna himself says it's a cycle of sacrifice. Evam, this word again and again. Thus, whenever there is some conclusion comes, evam parampara praptam. So here, thus, pravartitam, established by the Vedas. We saw the prescribed work is coming from Brahma. Brahma is the Supreme Lord. But then prior to that, Krishna said karma. Who knows that? Where did the karma come from? Go to the previous verse.
Vedas.
Okay, read the verse.
Karma Brahmodbhavam Vidhi.
Karma Brahmodbhavam Vidhi. Brahma is here referring to the personality of Godhead comes. The next one, Aksharam is the personality of Godhead. Brahman here refers to Vedas basically. Okay. So here, Evam thus Pravartitum, established by the Vedas, Chakram, cycle, na does not, Anuvartyati. Anu, the word, whenever it comes, it means to follow. Here it's used in the context of adopting something. Adopt, Iha, in this life, Yaha, one who, Aga Ayu, whose life is full of sins. In other words, if somebody is living in this world, taking everything, Prabhu mentioned about the word stena, thief only. We take everything from the nature, but we don't give anything back. then what are we said to be leading? Aga Ayur, Agasura. I think I shared this once in the class. In Mayapur, I went to one restaurant. They have Agasur burger. They pile up so much to eat that you have to open your mouth like a python. So they call it Agasur burger. So here it's given Aga Ayur, our life full of sins. Why is our life full of sins? Indriyaramo, because we are engaging all our senses simply for its own gratification. That's all. That is why our life is full of sins. Mogam partha sajivati. Mogam means in illusion generally. Here it means uselessly. Sajivati. Whole life one uses or loses in vain. Rather than giving back, rather than using all of this in the engagement, in the pleasure of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we just engage all of the faculties just in its own self-satisfaction, sense gratification. Because of that, life goes useless. Can one of you read the purport where it said there is no necessity for, it's in the 5th line of the purport, by nature's law.
There is no necessity of rigidly following the performances of the prescribed yagnas for the transcendentalists who are above vice performances. There are different kind of activities. Those who are not Krishna conscious are certainly engaged in sensory persons, may satisfy their desires without becoming entangled in the reaction of sense gratifactory work. The prosperity of the world depends not on our own efforts, but on the background arrangements of the Supreme Lord, directly carried out by the demigods.
Yeah, you can stop there. So normally when we live in this world, people who follow karma kanda, we read in the previous section, people who are following karma kanda, they are worried about their worldly destination only. They want to have good sex life, they want to have good wife, good husbands, good health, so on and so forth. This is the starting point of karma kanda. Still it is encouraged. Why? Because at least in the process of following these instructions of the karma kanda section, where is it given? It's in the Vedas. Where do the Vedas come from? Brahma, Aksharam only. Okay, so it has come from Krishna only. At least indirectly let them start. But the focus for them, or what are they trying to aim to achieve? Simply satisfaction in this life. So worldly destination only. That's the starting point. Then when a karma kandi advances a little bit more, they then progress to heavenly destination. Okay, from worldly position, now they actually progress. Initially, they are very happy here. Now they think, okay, I want to prolong this happiness. You come across many kings also. Okay, Prachina Barhi, we recently discussed. You come across in the scriptures also many. Okay, you come across Yayati, you come across Nagusha. Many personalities will come across. Harichandra. You come across many personalities like that, who the kings who performed so many yagyas simply for heavenly destination, one level above. But then from worldly destination, they go to heavenly destination. Till that point, they follow karma kanda only. But from that point to progress further, because by then they would have associated with some karma yogi. Because to do yagya, they would actually have to associate with the brahmanas. They would have to associate with devotees at some point. When they do, even though their starting point is karma kanda, they come slowly to karma yoga. So from heavenly destination, they'll go to the supreme destination, which is Goloka Vrindavan. That's the whole idea here. Okay, so it's a very, very systematic progression. Needless to say, it's going to take a long time. Many births, multiple births it takes. So it's not the most intelligent way of doing it, but it is something. So that's the approach which Prabhupada is saying here. The point which Prabhupada highlights in here in the purport is, who would have to practice these karma kanda yagyas? Only those who have material desires. So Prabhupada says these yagyas are needed only for those who have material desires. Whereas pure devotees, because they don't have material desires, they don't need to practice any of these yagya. So that's the point which Prabhupada is saying. When he says here, there is no need to necessity of rigidly following the performances of prescribed yagyas. So that statement applies for transcendentalists, which is supposed to be us. So for Krishna conscious devotees, there is no need for practicing these yagyas because their destination is not heaven. Their destination is not improved living circumstances in this life, but rather they want to go back to Golok Vrindavan, which karma conditions will eventually come. But for devotees, that is always the first goal. So they take the giant leap there. So that's why Prabhupada says in the purport that it is actually not needed to practice any of these complicated areas. Okay, any questions in this? Okay, let's go to the next verse. So now from 17 onwards unto 35, if you remember how this chapter started, Arjuna points out a verse which Krishna spoke. Durena hi avaram karma buddhi yoga dhananjaya buddham sharanam anvisha kripana phalaheto. So Arjuna is thinking, if Krishna says knowledge is very superior, if knowledge is very important, why is he asking me to fight? One pattern of Arjuna's questions, if you observe carefully, you will see. First few chapters, Arjuna will say, I will not fight, I will not fight. And Krishna would answer that. But as the chapter progresses, you will see pretty much from 5th, 6th chapter, even 5th chapter, after 5th chapter, you won't see Arjuna saying, I won't fight. Questions will go to a different level altogether. By 10th chapter itself, Arjuna says, Param Brahma, Param Dhamma, I surrender. Krishna could have stopped that right at that point itself. But Krishna takes him further to the process of jnana, and then finally he concludes again, which Krishna could have avoided if he hadn't told Arjuna, Pashaitan Samavetan Guruniti. You read that verse in the very first chapter. Krishna confuses Arjuna. Anyone has any doubt on that? You know the verse where Krishna confuses Arjuna? Go to the first chapter. Verse 21-22. When you read Bhagavad Gita, one easy way to remember Bhagavad Gita is like if you can remember the flow of the verses as a story, then you will remember. Even the philosophical points you will remember. So if you look at 21-22, here he is saying, Arjuna, O infallible one, please draw my chariot between the two armies so that I may see those present here who desire to fight and with whom I must contend in this great trial of arms. So he is saying, take my chariot in between both the parties so I can see with those people who have come to please the evil-minded son of Dhritarashtra. This is what he says. If you go to the 23rd verse, he continues, let me see those who have come here to fight, wishing to please the evil-minded son of Dhritarashtra. So he's not having very high opinion about the people on the opposite side, correct? 24th verse, Sanjaya said, now focus is shifting to Sanjaya. O descendant of Bharata, having thus been addressed by Arjuna, Lord Krishna drew up the fine chariot in the midst of the armies of both parties. So he's giving a live commentary. Now you come to verse 25. Until 21, 22, 23, Arjuna spoke. Till that point, he is very angry. Then in 24th verse, focus shifts to Sanjaya. Sanjaya is telling the narration what's happening. In 25th verse, here it is said, in the presence of Bhima, Drona, and all other chieftains of the world, the Lord said, this is the very first verse Krishna speaks, and he confuses. Correct? Pashaitan, Samavetan, Kuruniti. Just behold, Partha, all the Kurus assembled here. So until 23rd verse, Arjuna is actually venting out his fury. Let me see all those evil people who I am ready to fight with. And then as soon as Krishna says in 26, Arjuna's emotion changes completely. There Arjuna could see within the midst of the armies of both parties, his father's grandfather's teachers. Understand? Krishna deliberately putting Arjuna into illusion here. So Krishna can speak whole Bhagavad Gita. If the whole focus of Bhagavad Gita is simply to convince Arjuna, which many people think it's not for me, it's only for Arjuna, then Krishna wouldn't have put him in confusion in the first place. Even if you say, okay, Krishna said something, because he, in the flow, Krishna just said, Samavetan Guruniti. Later on, Arjuna stops saying, I will not fight. Krishna 10th chapter itself says, or rather, Arjuna 10th chapter itself, he says that I accept you as Param Brahma, Param Dhamma and everything. Krishna could have stopped there also. Krishna still drags. No, I still haven't completed talking. He continues until 18th chapter. And then he gives the, understand? So, the flow of Bhagavad Gita, verse by verse is important, section by section is important, chapter by chapter is important. I loved how Prabhu said when you're connecting between 14th and the 15th verse. 14th verse, last word is karma. 15th verse, first word is also karma. Like that, you connect and read. So this section now we are going, which is from 17 all the way till 35. To understand this, we have to understand the question which Arjuna asked in the beginning of this chapter. And that is, if you think getting knowledge is actually superior to even engaging in work, then why are you letting me or asking me to fight? Why can't I just sit and cultivate my knowledge? In other words, why can't I just be a jnani? So this is Arjuna's question. This section, Krishna is going to say something interesting. Krishna is going to say that, yes, even if you say, I don't have any desires, because to do yagya homa, I need to have desires. If somebody says, I want to renounce and go, you may not have desires. However, despite you not having the desires, you still have some more reasons to work. Sometimes, I once watched one reel. One mother is engaging her little son to go for a running race. And the little child is not running. All the kids are running. They are not running. Then the mother, to induce the child, she started running. And the little child was chasing after her. Understand? So here, even though Arjuna may say, I'm a jnani, being a jnani is more superior than even being a karma yogi. In principle, it is correct. But Krishna says, you may be a jnani, you have no reason to work, but you can still work for other reasons as well. And those other reasons doesn't have to be for you. It can be to set good example for other people. It can be to encourage, inspire other people to do their duty. You are in a platform to renounce the work, others may not be. So Krishna is going to teach. That's the main principle of this section, 17 to 35. Krishna will give a few examples also. Okay, let's go to verse 17. Someone from Mataji's side can recite the verse. Yes, whoever. Oh, yes. Come on, Tulsi. You can recite.
Yes.
आत्मन्येव सन्तुष्टः तस्य कार्यं न विद्यते. Wow. How old is she? How many of you think you can recite better than her? First time when she recited, everyone was mesmerized. Nobody would even think maybe we should follow. Oh yeah, we have to follow. I can see that, there is the shock. Yes, translation. Mataji, you can read.
But for one who takes pleasure in the self, whose human life is one of self-realization, and who is satisfied in the self only, fully satiated, for him there is no duty.
So here Krishna is saying first exception. Who is not required to do any complex yagyas or karma, whoever who is in this platform. Which platform? Yastu atmaratihi. Atmaratihi means taking pleasure in one's own self. Atma triptascha manavaha. Atma tripta. Atma rati is one thing. Atma tripta. So here Atma tripta means self-illuminated. Atmani eva santustas. Atmani, in the self, eva cha santusta. How many times Atma is coming? In other words, one who is totally detached from work. In South India, in my place, there is a book of moral codes, like how we have Chanakya Niti Shastra. Prabhupada often quote. So we have one book, body of work called Thirukural. So there, I remember reading in school days, when can you say somebody has totally renounced something? Let's say I have a mobile phone, I give it to someone. And if after 2 days, I regret, that means I'm not fully renounced it. Understand? So the author of that work, he says, when can we say somebody has completely renounced? When they come to the state when the thing which they renounced doesn't cause them pain anymore. Does that make sense? Once somebody gives something out, until they come to the point of being immune from the effects, after effects of that, one is not said to be renounced. Instead, they are called mityacharatha uchyate. We saw that before, right? False pretender, Krishna says. So here, Krishna, first of all, is establishing. Yes, Arjuna, you want to give up this, you want to come to the platform of Jnani. Would you like to know, by the way, what does a Jnani mean? This is the definition Krishna is saying. This person who ticks all the boxes that is given in this verse, this person is not required to do work. And this point also Krishna will challenge shortly. But that's the flow here Krishna is talking. Okay, so until previous section, Krishna is engaging. Please do Nishkama Karma Yoga. That's better than not doing any work. Do Karma Kanda, then do Nishkama Karma Yoga. Now Krishna is raising the bar and saying, by the way, if someone is totally self-satisfied, someone is totally self-illuminated, if you are in that platform, yes, then I'll understand you don't have any duty to perform. Why? The way how it works is, Prabhupada explains in the purport, who has a certain duty to perform? As long as you have desires to fulfill, you have a duty. They both go together. Remember the two Ds, duty and desire. If you don't have desire, then you don't have duty, prescribed duty. But as long as you have desires, is there anyone in this room who say you don't have desires? We do have. I also have. Lots of us, lots of them. Okay, so Krishna here, he is saying, as long as you have desires, you have duty. They both go together. You cannot separate them. It's like sense and sense object. You cannot separate them easily. Okay, so these two Ds go together. Duty, dharma, and desires, kama. As long as you have kama, you have a dharma. The moment you renounce it, renounce all your desires completely. When? Let's go through this verse again. Yastu atmaratir. Atmarati means taking pleasure in self. Not only renouncing, but one is enjoying. Yastu atmaratir evasyat atma triptascha manavaha. Manavaha means humans. Atma tripta means self-illuminated. Atmani evacha santusta. If one is pleased only in self. 3 times Krishna is saying. In Vedic times, any instruction that comes 3 times, very important. Nasteva, 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 Harer Nama, Harer Nama, Harer Nama, Satyam, Satyam, Param Satyam. 3 times coming. 3 lines, Krishna is saying exactly same thing. Tasya karyam na vidyate. For him only there is no duty. And because we don't tick all the boxes here, some people may be like, you come across in Mohini avatar. When Mohini comes, at that time, she distributes the nectar. So when the pot of nectar is with the demons, the weaker demons are talking philosophy. Oh, let us not fight amongst ourselves. Let us equally distribute it amongst ourselves. What is the meaning of family if we fight amongst ourselves? Do you really think they are talking devotee care principles here? They know very well they are not strong enough to fight and get the nectar, correct? But the way how they are presenting is, let us not fight. And they are weak. Abdul Kalam, once they asked him this question, you talk about ahimsa, you talk about Mahatma Gandhi as one of your ideals. Still, why do you then do Pokhran test, nuclear bomb? Abdul Kalam said something interesting. He said that, in my experience, I have learned that unless you go to a position of strength, you cannot talk about peace. Very true. So here Krishna is saying, unless somebody comes to that position of not just relinquishing, but relishing. Devotee means one who delights in saying no to Maya. I wish I am initiated now. Nityachara sauchyate. Sometimes you walk past a coffee shop. Okay, that's a caffeine shot. You have to be careful there. So this is very, very important. Prabhupada gives one example. In Kolkata, Prabhupada saw one guy, actually 2 guys seated right next to each other. And one guy said, I have taken a vow not to touch cigarette. So his friend was smoking cigarette. He was catching his hand and then puffing and then letting it go. So Prabhupada says, this is Kali Yuga, this is how people practice renunciation. But actually here, renunciation means, that's why Krishna is giving 3-point check here. Understand? Atma santushtas, Atma ratihi. Okay, Atma tripta. Three things Krishna is saying. Not just giving up, not just being satisfied. Cha eva. Only satisfaction should come, or your satisfaction should only come from self. Then, yes, then you don't have any desires, which means you don't have any duty. Until you come to that point, you need to perform duty. Okay, read the purport, one of you, by such. It's a small purport. If you want to read, you can even read the whole purport.
Person who is fully Krishna conscious and is fully satisfied by his acts in Krishna consciousness no longer has any duties to perform. Due to his being Krishna conscious, all impurity within him is instantly cleansed, and an effect of many thousands of yajnas performed. By such clearing of consciousness, one becomes fully confident of his eternal position and in relationship with the Supreme. His duties thus become self-illuminated by the grace of the Lord, and therefore he is no longer has any objections to the Vedic injunctions.
You can stop there. So, due to his being Krishna conscious, all impiety within is instantly cleansed. There is a verse, we don't have time. Dunoti sarvam hridhi sanivista. When a devotee takes up bhakti, as they advance in bhakti, if even they have some sinful desire within their heart, how soon does Krishna remove them? Instantly it's given. Why? Dunoti sarvam hridhi sanivista. Supreme Lord is seated within the heart. As soon as he sees sprouting of some sinful desire, immediately he wipes it away. Now, how does one come to that platform? Due to his being Krishna conscious, all impiety within is instantly cleansed. So Prabhupada is talking about somebody in that platform. So as long as we have desires, we need to have duty. So in this verse, Krishna spoke about who is that personality, or who is a jnani for whom there is no duty. Now next verse is a continuation of this verse, verse 18, where Krishna is going to say, because a jnani has got no obligation to duty, he is also not condemned not to do the duty also. You understand? Like if I have the option to fast or not fast, I can do either one. I am not required to do, but I can still do it. Just like Krishna doesn't need to personally come to give the instructions. He could have engaged one of his agents to do, but Krishna chose to come and give. Like that, a jnani, because they don't have any desires, there's no karma. Because of that, they don't have any dharma. They are not required to do. However, nothing is stopping them from doing. Does that make sense? It's one thing for us, it's obligation to do duty, but for a jnani, there's no obligation, but still nothing is stopping him from doing the duty. That's what Krishna is going to speak about in the next verse. And Krishna, you may think, if he has no duty to perform, then why should he perform? For that, Krishna will say, even though a jnani doesn't have any desire to fulfill, he still has to do the duty to set a good example for other people. Whatever platform a jnani in, only jnani knows, nobody else knows. And if somebody happened to be a king like Arjuna, if he doesn't do the duty, people would not think Arjuna is in a jnani platform, that's why he's not doing the duty. Instead, they would think king didn't do the duty. Does that make sense? So that's why Krishna here in this verse, he is saying, as much as a jnani is not required to do, he also has got no reason not to do also. Okay, let's read verse 18. Someone from Prabhu's side. Yes, Prabhuji.
So just Prabhuji, आपने धुनोती क्या verse, like which verse?
We'll come to that later.
Thank you.
Okay, who is going to read? Mayadesh Prabhu.
सर्वभूतेषु
A self-realized man has no purpose to fulfill in the discharge of his prescribed duties, nor has he any reason not to perform such work, nor has he any need to depend on any other living being.
So a self-realized man Na eva, never. Eva, certainly. Tasya his kritena, na akritena. Kritena means by discharge of duty. Artha, purpose. Na akritena means without discharge of duty. So two things he says. To read the translation, Krishna is saying a self-realized man has no purpose to fulfill in the discharge of his prescribed duties. We saw that in the previous verse. Now you see what he's adding? Nor has he any reason not to perform such work. He's not required to do, but nothing is stopping him from doing as well. Nor has he any need to depend on any other living being. Does that make sense? A jnani has got no obligation to do, but nothing is stopping him from doing also. Now, why is a jnani required to do? That Krishna will speak in the next verse, but one of you can read the purport. Whenever you come across small purport, you can read it fully. Okay, somebody from Mataji said.
A self-realized man is no longer obliged to perform any prescribed duty, save and except activities in Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is not inactivity either, as will be explained in the following verses. A Krishna conscious man does not take shelter of any person, man, or demigod. Whatever he does in Krishna consciousness is sufficient in the discharge of his obligation.
Okay, so Prabhupada, in every purport, he would connect everything to a devotee, Krishna consciousness. So for us, that alone is enough to follow, practice. Then why do we have to do Bhakti Sastri degree? Our mind doesn't behave in the same way. There's an analogy that's given in Bhagavatam. Just like how a hunter, if he hunts an animal, he won't leave the animal thinking, I've already hunted it, let the animal be around, I'll go finish my business, come back, and I'll take. No, he'll never put trust in that animal. He would tie a rope and tie it to a pole also, and keep his attention also whether the animal is running away. So same way, it is said, when we control our mind by the process of chanting, by the process of hearing association, we should never think, yes, I have conquered now. My mind is very steady. That's a very good sign. Our mind is not steady. Okay, so focus has to be there. Focus has to be given that I have to follow this process until the day I die. We can never trust our mind. So Krishna consciousness, we study Shastras. Why? Even among 4 regulative principles. If you are away from devotee association, slowly you will start to feel like a karmi. Has anyone of you have that experience? All of us have. At some point, situation happened, like, we were away. Suddenly we feel like, yeah, everything is like normal. In fact, we even go one step further. Actually, you know what? Karmis are really good. Better than devotees. We feel like that. We feel we can fully explore our freedom, so-called. And then after we get bashed around here, there, then we think, you know what? Actually, I was far better there. Then we come back. Where were you? I was just in the Dham. You just continue. I mean, Devi Dham. Okay, in material world. So we can never trust our mind. There is one verse. Go find out. I'll give you exercise here. Go to the 18th chapter where Krishna says, studying Bhagavad Gita is worshipping me with intelligence. 18th chapter. Whoever has book will be only given opportunity. Those who use mobile, no. This is again another bit. As much as I say, the time and place helps you to remember. Touching, moving this thing around. You see this in my hand? This will also help you remember. So please start to use this. It's a primitive technology only. It doesn't matter. Chinese found it as per historians, doesn't matter. Still, you don't need to show your patriotism. Please open and read. Istasyam iti me matihi. Whoever reads this sacred dialogue between me and Arjuna is worshipping me with their intelligence. Okay, one the first line. Adhyashate cha ya imam dharmyam samvada mavayaho jnana yagyena tenaham istasyam iti me matihi. Find out. Adhyashate. Adhyesate. Sorry, what? Okay, yes, read the translation. Oh, you can read the verse. We are all Bhakti Shastris. We will follow. Read one line at a time. Okay, translation, one of you. Sneha, you have a book? Read.
The
Translation. Just no, full translation.
I declare that he who studies this sacred conversation of ours worships me by his intelligence.
Okay, so when you read this, when you open the book, when you study this, we are, by focusing our mind on trying to understand this sacred dialogue, we are worshipping Krishna. Istasyamiti me matihi. Using our intelligence, we are worshipping. Just like we are using our sense of touch in worshipping the Lord. You may dress the deities, you may play. We are engaging our sense of hearing also. No, these are all gross senses. Okay, and engaging. We saw Savai Mana Krishna Padarav in your verse also. How different senses can be engaged. Likewise, Istasyamiti me matihi. How can you engage your intelligence in serving Krishna, in worshipping Krishna? By studying this and trying to understand it. Okay, so we should not be lazy. Once, I think Loknath Maharaj, at the time Loknath Das Brahmachari, Maharaj goes to Prabhupada and he says, Prabhupada started Padayatra and he made him in charge for the Padayatra. So Maharaj at the time took, and then Maharaj came and gave report to Prabhupada and he said, Prabhupada, sometimes we try to distribute books. People say this is Kali Yuga, so it is enough for us to just chant Hare Krishna. We don't need to read. Prabhupada says, no, you should tell them back, you are chanting Krishna's name. If you really love Krishna, you would want to know more about Krishna, which means, how can I understand that you are progressing in chanting Hare Krishna? How deep you are going and studying Krishna's instructions. That is how I can understand that you are progressing. Prabhupada says you go and tell him that. Okay, these are all, many times our mind gives all these lazy excuses. Sometimes we come across some sections in even Srimad Bhagavatam. Tell me some dry sections, technical sections of Srimad Bhagavatam. Fifth canto, Vedic cosmology is there. Process of creation is there. 2 times it comes, second chapter, second canto and third canto. And we call it not important, correct? When Shukadeva Goswami takes so much trouble, mention the same thing 2 times, we call it not important. It is important. Otherwise, why would Prabhupada write purport? Why do you think Shukadeva Goswami would have wasted his time? Why do you think Parishit Maharaj, he's going to die after like few days? Why do you think he considered important? We think, yeah, Hare Krishna. Laziness. Understand, when something is there in the Shastras, make no mistake, it is important. You and me are not the ones to pick and choose. That's up to Prabhupada. There is a reason why Prabhupada didn't translate other Puranas. So very fact, Prabhupada translated this, gave purports, 2 different set of purports for this. And we say, this is not important. It is important. Istasyamiti me matihi. Okay, dharmam samvadam avayaho. Adhyasate cha yamam dharmam samvadam avayaho. Jnana yagyena tenaham istasyamiti me matihi. As Prabhu said, yagya. This is jnana yagya. Yagya is used in a more generic sense. Yagya means it's a principle of sacrifice. How can we say chanting Hare Krishna is Sankirtan Yagya? Because normally if you say our ears like to hear some music, karmi music, our eyes like to see some karmi things. So we are curbing the tendency, channelizing all of that and then trying to hear something spiritual. Understand? So we are doing a certain sacrifice of our free will. That's why it is called as Sankirtan Yagya. Understand? Likewise, tongue likes to eat so many things. Mind likes to think about so many things. We curb all those tendencies and focus on Krishna. That's why we call it Yagya. And Yagya means there is sacrifice only. Sacrifice means it's not enjoyable. Okay? Which means there has to be pain. No pain, no gain. There has to be no guts, no glory. There has to be some pain. Little bit has to be there. But not to the extent that, we feel like, oh, Krishna. Prabhupada, he always said, one devotee was going on a morning walk. He was going on morning walk barefoot. Prabhupada asked, actually first time I heard that Leela from Hemang Chaitanya Prabhu. So he asks him, where is your shoe? And then this devotee says, Prabhupada, this is Vrindavan Dham. I want to walk barefoot. Prabhupada looks at him and he says, see, material world is already austere. Why do you want to add more austerity? We will wait to go wear your shoes and come. Prabhupada is waiting. So Prabhupada is a very practical acharya. We don't need to complicate the process more than what is required of us. But what is required of us, we have to do. We can't, not important. That's not up to us. That's up to Prabhupada. Prabhupada said it's important. Read. First time we won't understand, 100%. Repetition is the mother of learning. We have to keep repeating again and again and again and again. Eventually, it will come to us. But initially, we need to put some effort. But one point to be very clear, if you put the effort, 100% result will come. I was once watching a motivational video by Arnold Schwarzenegger. He says, say, if you are a bodybuilder and you work on your body for 1 hour a day, 365 days, if you do that, you would have spent 365 hours. He says the same principle holds true for any skill. You want to get good in drawing, spend 1 hour every day, 365 hours. You know what that will do to your skills. You want to become Bhakti Shastri, complete it. Why is everyone laughing? Come on, complete it. Hey, that's not a joke, man. Seriously. Okay, 10 minutes. Please, 5 minutes. 10 minutes, half an hour, 20 minutes you read. You will see the difference. Okay, Shastras will reciprocate. How many of you have this experience? One day, studying 1 day before exam. I don't even need to ask the question. All of you. At that time, our mind, you know what it says? From next semester onwards. And then guess what it says next semester? This is what I said last semester also. Doesn't matter. I still have one more. But it never happens. Never comes to pass. Understand? But have you got this experience? Sometimes last minute you study, suddenly you find whatever you are reading actually is very relishable. It is actually very nice, very nourishing. How many of you have that experience? At the time we think, why did I waste? It's actually, you know what, it's not as difficult as it always seemed. It is really good. Bhagavad Gita is like that. Krishna has spoken only about 550 verses, so it's not that many. And Krishna has spoken in a simple Sanskrit, which even Kali Yuga Vasis can understand. Krishna used a simple Sanskrit, but the content of this, literally you can pull any section of Bhagavatam and you can relate to one instruction of Krishna. And if you read Bhagavatam or Chaitanya Charitamrita, you will understand what it takes, dozens of verses. The genius of Krishna is he just throws it in one verse here. To come to this conclusion, sometime you will see a whole essay is there. Understand? So Bhagavad Gita, you will appreciate more after Bhakti Shastri. But if you can relish it more during Bhakti Shastri, it is even better. But at least try to put some effort. I understand initially it may be a little boring, dry, because it doesn't fit in our own romantic idea about studying Shastras. But trust me, we don't know our mind. Krishna knows our mind. Krishna knows how to rewire our mind. If we keep doing it, eventually, over a period of time, you will see. And when I say over a period of time, if you put the effort properly, at least reading 2 hours every week, by the time you finish your degree, you will see a big difference. Okay, what this book means to you, what Bhagavad Gita means to you, how you can establish that relationship with Krishna in the form of his instructions. Okay, let's move to the next verse. This is verse 19. Right? Yeah, Tasmad. Asakta, one of you read. Yes, Prabhu.
Krishna established that he is the one who's already situated in Krishna consciousness and is fully satisfied by doing that process. So he's already doing Krishna conscious activities. So then what is the prescribed duties? Are we talking about Varnashrama activities that he's supposed to do in the page? Right?
Yeah. So if a jnani is there, as I said, you remember these 2D. You can always derive one foundational principle and you can expand that understanding for every verse. Foundational principle is dharma and kama. If you have desire, you have duty. No desire, no duty. Clear? So a jnani, he doesn't have desire. So by definition, does he have duty or not? No duty. That's all. A Krishna conscious devotee, there is no question of it. Having kamam cha dasya natu kama kamyaya yatottam shloka janashraya ratihi. That's what the verse we read before with Ambarish Maharaj. He didn't have any desire. Whatever desire he had is simply to fulfill the desires of the Supreme Lord. That's all. So here, a jnani, because they don't have any desire, they also don't have any duty. Does that make sense? Remember these two D. Duty, desire. No desire, no duty. So here, because a jnani doesn't have any desire, he doesn't have any duty. However, jnani should consider about other people under his care. Whether, even though he's not required to do, can he still use this as a via medium to do good to other people? That's the principle Krishna is going to talk about here. In other words, Krishna is asking Arjuna not to be so selfish about just you, raise above that. Okay, you are in a position as a king. As a king, you are required to set a certain example. So that's the platform Krishna is raising Arjuna slowly to. Okay, 19. One of you can read. Tasmad.
Tasmad asakta satanam. Karyam karma samachara. Asakto hi acharan karma. Param apnoti purusha. Translation. Therefore, without being attached to the fruits of activities, one should act as a matter of duty, for by working without attachment, one attains the supreme.
You will come across similar kind of conclusion Krishna gives. Matra sparshastu kaunteya. There also you will see. If somebody is not disturbed by any of this, such a person gets qualified to get liberation, basically. Here also Krishna is saying if somebody is doing their duty, but without being attached to the results, what do they qualify for? Param apnoti purushaha. Such a person will get qualified to attain liberation. So here let's go word to word. Tasmad. Sarveshu kaleshu. Again, tasmad is always a concluding word. When there is some principle that is said, as a conclusion, you'll always come across this word, tasmad. Tasmad means therefore. Asaktaha, without attachment. Satatam, constantly. Very important. Not occasionally. Constantly. One day, Prabhupada visited one temple, I think Delhi. One of his disciples came to him and he said, Prabhupada, please give me sannyas. Everyone is already laughing. Then Prabhupada asked, why do you want sannyas? You know the reason he gave? My wife is not listening to me. Prabhupada had a good laugh and he says, bring your wife. And Prabhupada had a counseling session with them and he said, it's okay. You both go back. So, satatam, always. Okay, not that you renounce something and you feel like, you know what? If only I'm not a devotee. I once saw, sometimes when devotees get into that little passionate mode, two devotees are fighting in the car park. You are laughing. Sometimes emotions, you'll hear fireworks flaring up everywhere. One devotee is yelling at the other. I have Kantimala. If only if I don't have. If you don't have what? You will kill him or what? I was thinking like that. Again, Mityachara, we have to be careful. We think, it's like we are doing Krishna a favor by doing. No, actually we are saving ourselves from trouble. But if we do it with appreciation, if we do it with gratitude, we will see us progressing deeper in bhakti. My Guru Maharaj says, in Kali Yuga is an ocean of faults. Two things you should not bother counting in Kali Yuga. Anyone knows? Sorry, what? Yeah. Yes, I take that. All good we have done to others. Anything else? False. Okay, so because faults are innumerable. Kaler dosha niderajan. So my Guru Maharaj says, Kali Yuga is an ocean of fault. So fault finding is not such a great quality. Correct? Because it's an ocean of fault, anybody can pick fault on anyone. Okay, we are sitting in management. I always say 99% you need to be deaf. Because if you react, you cannot do anything. Seriously. And where you are sitting and the parameters you are actually saying, you cook more prasad, the devotees will complain. Prasadam is getting wasted. You cook less, they say temple doesn't care about us. What do you want us to do? You do your doom, don't do your doom. Better do the right thing and take the blame. Okay, so Kali Yuga is an ocean of faults. For any thought, you can always give an anti-thought. Anything, you bring anything, we can always counter it. There is no one single absolute way to do anything. Understand? So it's not a great quality to find fault on others, thinking I'm just giving my input like that. Sometimes when we go on that fault-finding mentality, Krishna says in Uddhava Gita, in 11th canto, it's there to constantly say this is right, this is not right, right, not right. Itself will put us in the position of non-duality. We can't practice bhakti in that platform. So we have to be a little mindful. Everyone has their own journey. Sometimes I hear even parents complain about kids. Prabhu, my kid is not chanting Hare Krishna. I ask them, at what age did you become devotees? 35. What were you doing till then? You took 35 years to, explore things, and you want the kids to be like what Prahlad Maharaj, right? From 2 years old. It's a little unrealistic expectation, don't you think so? So we all have our journey. Others have their own. We have to assist them in their journey. At least we should not be an obstacle in other people's journey. Understand? So here, Krishna is saying, Tasmad asakta satatam, not just occasional detachment. Satatam means satatam kirtayantamam, always. Then, karyam karma samachara. Karyam as duty, karma, work, samachara, perform. One should perform one's duty without attachment to results. Asakta, unattached. He, certainly, acharan, performing. Karma, work, param, supreme, apnoti purushaha. In other words, if one is in this world, one performs one's duty and one is not attached to results, such a person gets qualified to go back home, back to Godhead. Now we may think, how can we work in this, in this life? On one hand, we are told, we need to work very hard. But on the other, here, Krishna is saying, you should not be attached to results. Prabhupada mentioned previously in one of the verses we saw, I think 16th verse, Prabhupada mentions about Mammonist philosophy, which means you work hard and you enjoy. If you think about this principle, we come from Indian, Nepalese, any other nationality here, primarily. Two backgrounds. Rickshawalas. They pull the rickshaw, hand pull rickshaw, or pedal rickshaw. Whole day they will work very, very hard. Who do you think is working hard? Him or somebody sitting in AC room? Correct. If Mammonist philosophy is true, who should be a millionaire? Rickshawala or the CEO of a company? Understand? That's the proof that it doesn't work that way. That doesn't mean we are not the doer. Krishna will speak about it later in this section. We are not the only doer. Baladev Vidyabhushan in Govinda Bhashya, listen to this carefully, it's important. Baladev Vidyabhushan in his Govinda Bhashya, he gives one beautiful analogy. He uses the example of a woodcutter. Woodcutter with an axe. There is a tree. A woodcutter is cutting the tree. Now, in the action of him hitting the axe on the tree, Baladev Vidyabhushan says there are three agents involved. One is the woodcutter, second is the hand, and third is the axe. Three things. Now, who is the doer? Krishna sanctions. Let's take a step back. Living entity desires. Krishna sanctions. Prakriti, Mother Nature, facilitates. So Baladev Vidyabhushan says, in this analogy, the woodcutter is the Supreme Lord. Hand alone is us. How much control does the hand have? Nothing much. Axe is Prakriti, Mother Nature. So to cut the tree, all the three has to come in line. In this, the axe and the woodcutter will always be in line. Okay, Supreme Lord and Prakriti will be together all the time. We need to align ourselves properly so that our will gets sanctioned by the Lord. Upadrishta Anumantacha. Look for the verse. Upadrishta. You know how to search for the verse in Bhagavad Gita? So at the back you go, there is a section called Index of Verses. Whenever you come across any verse, keeps going. Oh yes. Index of Sanskrit verses. It is page 735. If you are having this book, page 735. Okay, so this one has got, sometimes you come across Prabhupada mentioning about part of the verse, one verse, you hear some devotee speaking. This is the place. Okay, so search for the verse Upadrishta, UPA. Sorry, what is it?
23.
Okay, go to the verse. Keshav Prabhu, we can read. 1 second, Prabhuji. We can all follow. Okay, verse number
23.
13.23. Upadrishta Anumantacha Bhagavad Maheshwara Paramatmeti Chapiyuto Dehismin Purusha Paraha. Translation.
Yet in the body there is another but transcendental enjoyer, who is the Lord, the supreme proprietor, who exists as the overseer and promoter, and who is known as the supersource.
So here the two functions of Paramatma is given. Upadrishta, Anumanta. Paramatma is inside, he does two things. Upadrishta, Drishta means to see. Upa means to sit near. He is always the closest friend to us. He is the closest seer. Whatever you see, he also sees. Upadrishta, Anumanta, permitter also. Unless Paramatma allows, you are going to sleep, right? If Paramatma wakes you up, you will get up. If not, we will celebrate with a feast for your name. Hey, Sunday feast, keep that in mind. Which means, no, I'm telling about our Sunday feast fundraiser. Sanjay Vyas Prabhu. So if Paramatma forgets to wake us up, Q says, you know what, I'm not going to wake him up or wake her up. We'll be dead, gone. Okay, so Paramatma does two things. Upadrishta Anumanta. He sees and he allows. Coming back to the woodcutter, living entity desires. Anumanta has to be given by Supreme Lord. He has to permit. Then Mother Nature will actually cooperate with you. So when Krishna says, don't be attached to work, don't be attached to work, don't be attached to results, means on this principle, he is saying. Otherwise, can you imagine if we don't know this philosophy, how much we'll be wasting our time? We think we control it, but then nothing works. Nothing works. Of course, nothing works because you are not the only doer. There's so many more. Krishna will elaborate later. But at least on a high level, understand, high level only, there are three personalities. But there are many more factors. Later on, we'll come across. Okay, so three personalities. Who is the woodcutter? Supreme Lord. Hand is us. Axe? Prakriti, nature. Okay, hand doesn't have much control. Only the personality having the hand has the control. Understand? So Paramatma has to, Anumanta, he has to allow us to do. So we have to keep that in mind. So coming back to this verse, he says, Tasmad asakta satatam karyam karma samachara asakto hi acharan karma param apnoti purushaha. If one acts, performs his duty just for the sake of it without being attached to one's results, such a person, param apnoti, such a person gets qualified to go back to God here. Okay, read the translation, sorry, in the purport, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, sixth line, to be a good man or a non-violent man. One of you can read.
To be a good man or a non-violent man is a personal attachment, but to act on behalf of the Supreme is to act without attachment to the result. This is the perfect action of the highest degree, recommended by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna.
Keep going.
Vedic rituals like prescribed sacrifices are performed for purification of impious activities that were performed in the field of sense gratification. But action in Krishna consciousness is transcendental to the reactions of good or evil work.
Vedic rituals like prescribed sacrifices are performed for purification of impious activities. Karma Kanda rituals are done that were performed in the field of sense gratification. Prabhupada is saying, but action in Krishna consciousness is transcendental, which means devotees don't need to worry about any of these yagyas. That's the principle here. Who need to worry about? People who do sense gratificatory activities to purify that they do, or if they have more desires to fulfill that also they do. Devotees don't have neither of them. They neither do any impious activities, so they need to purify themselves, nor do they have any desires that need to be fulfilled. So such people, they don't need to worry about these sacrifices. That's what Krishna is saying. We'll go for one more verse. We go for one more verse. Sorry, we started a little late. We go a little bit more. Okay. Okay. Prabhu, why are you laughing? Yes, Prabhu.
Can you give an example of that activity? give examples of activities where devotees also do it, but it's actually not.
Narada Muni, for example. Narada Muni is an eternal brahmachari. But when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came, he thought, as a brahmachari, I can serve him, but as a grahastha, I can serve him even more. He changed ashram. Arjuna, generally, one of Arjuna's name is, there is 10 names of Arjuna that are given in Mahabharata. Okay, can anyone remember any name? Gudakesh, very good. Dhananjaya, yes. Savyasachi. Bharata Rishabha, best of the Bharatas, yes. Madhusudana, Kauntaya. Madhusudana is Krishna. Prabhu gets shocked. Yes, any more? Partha. Gudakesh. How many? Okay, second Gudakesh. Tell me 3 forest animals. Lion, 2 tiger. Tell me 10 times. Gudakesh, Gudakesh, Gudakesh. Vibhatsu, Jishnu, Kiriti, Vijaya. Okay, you know who says all these names? Arjuna himself says. In the battle of Virata, when he goes, he has Bhuminjaya, who is brother of Uttara. When Bhuminjaya looks at in the opposite side, this side only he is there on the chariot. In the opposite side, he sees all these Bhishma, Drona, Kripacharya, everyone. He looks at all of them. At that time, Arjuna is in the form of a eunuch, Brahannala. He says, you know what? To retreat back from the battle is also winning strategy. Let's go back. Then Brahannala says, like, no, you have to stay here and we have to fight. He says, like, no, this is like, entering, like a moth entering into a fire. If I run, I'll actually die. So no, let us go back. I'm the king here, follow. Then Arjuna gets upset and he says, what kind of a Kshatriya are you? Then Bhuminjaya says, why are you talking like Arjuna? Then he looks at him, I'm actually Arjuna. Then he says, for Arjuna, tell me the 10 names. Then Arjuna lists all these names. And then he goes, picks up all his, if you want to read the description of each one of the weapons of the Pandavas, you can read that section in Mahabharata, where he says, Arjuna used to wear gloves. We will come across very minute details that's given there. And after that, Arjuna tells him, okay, you actually be the charioteer. And he goes in the front as a charioteer. Arjuna, Devadatam, Dhananjaya, he pulls out Devadatta, Kong. First time he blows that conch, horse is standing like that, horse goes into shock, kneeling down. Bhuminjaya goes rolling on the ground. Arjuna chastises him. What kind of a king are you? Come back again. Stand steady. Okay. And then he blows again. So you will come across like that. So Arjuna, this is Arjuna's prowess. Single-handedly he did that. But then, because again, Krishna is the culprit here. Krishna, because he confused Arjuna, Arjuna is now temporarily, he is experiencing some setback. His emotions is overcoming him. But then as soon as Krishna establishes his position, Arjuna is ready. All right, I'm ready to fight. So devotees, Prabhupada, when he bought a Juhu property, at that time Prabhupada says later on, after winning the court case, everything, Prabhupada says, actually, I'll tell you one other example, then you will understand the context of this. Prabhupada, once he goes to US and then he likes one property and then he says, all right, I need this. Initially, they quote $500,000. Prabhupada brings it down to 250,000 down payment. And then he looks at Ambarish Prabhu and he says, how much can you do? Then he said, immediately, Prabhupada, I can give 150. Then he looks at Lekashravanti Mataji, who is another rich disciple of Srila Prabhupada. How much can you do? She says, like, I can give 100. And that's it. Prabhupada says, you look at Krishna's magic here. I desire to buy home. My pocket is empty. But Krishna sends me 2 disciples and we have this building. So they buy the building. And next day morning, the disciples come and tell Prabhupada that, Prabhupada, today morning we went to secure the property to lock it. But the owner of the place, he is removing some Karmi paintings that's there, saying, your Swamiji cheated me. Then when they tell to Prabhupada, Prabhupada says, yeah, what can I do? I'm a Kolkata boy. Like that. Prabhupada says, this is Prabhupada, okay. Prabhupada, after winning Juhu property, Prabhupada says, actually, if I wear my businessman's hat, I wouldn't pursue this property. This is owned by one guy, Mr. Nair. He had his own daily newspaper. Can you believe his power, media power? Plus, he's very well connected. He has lawyers, he had so much. So Prabhupada says any logic and reasoning would actually tell me I shouldn't pursue this. Just let it go. But Prabhupada said, no, I made a promise to Radha Rasbihariji. When Prabhupada brought the deities, Prabhupada said, in the prayer, Prabhupada says, my Lord, you please sit tight. Here, I will build a nice temple. Prabhupada made the promise. Simply for that promise, Prabhupada is going fighting. Externally, it will look like Prabhupada is very attached. But actually, Prabhupada is attached to fulfilling the promise he made to Radha Rasbihariji. Okay, like that. So like that, we can look at many examples of devotees, pure devotees, how much, to what extent they actually went. Okay, if you go to South India, Tirumangai Alvar, you might have come across, his story about how he built the 7 walls of Ranganath temple. He engaged thieves, dacoits actually. I'm not going to do, I'm just telling. So you will come across many examples of how devotees seemingly they actually did. They even breached it to look like, but actually it's not. They follow the principle of the Supreme Lord. Now we can't imitate. There's 2 things that are given in Chaitanya Charitamrita: Anusar and Anukar. Anusar means whatever instructions Krishna says, you take it and you follow. Anukar means you imitate Krishna. Okay, Prabhupada gives 2 examples in the purport that one should not say, Shiva drank poison. I can't drink poison, so I'll die. So I will drink some liquor. Prabhupada says that's not true. If you are ready to imitate Shiva, go drink poison. You cannot do, then don't follow Shiva. Just follow his instructions. Same way for Krishna. If people say, I will only perform Ras Leela, Prabhupada says, no, follow Kurukshetra Leela also. Perform Govardhan Leela also. Then you can think about doing this. Even for Krishna, Krishna didn't follow any rules in one sense. Here we see Krishna would say, to set good example, I'm going to follow this. But actually, Vrindavan Krishna didn't follow. Dwarkadish Krishna followed. So we should follow Dwarkadish only, not Vrindavan Krishna. Vrindavan Krishna, full enjoyment. Dwarkadish Krishna, he follows everything to the dot. Understand? So that's how we need to do. So pure devotees also, they perform activities which look very simple, which look very mundane, but Prabhupada would often use the word, there is a gulf of difference between the 2. One is doing to satisfy the senses of Krishna, and the other one is doing all of this simply for their own sense gratification, like that. We'll finish with one other verse. Okay, 20. One of you can read.
Karmaneva hi samsiddhim.
Karmaneva hi samsiddhim.
Astita janakadaya.
Astita janakadaya.
Lokasangrahamevapi.
Lokasangrahamevapi.
Such as Janaka attained perfection solely by performance of prescribed duties. Therefore, just for the sake of educating the people in general, you should perform your work.
Normally, Krishna, when he does the presentation, first he will tell the principle. Okay, Vachamsi Jirnani Yata Vihaya. After saying the principle, then he will say example. Okay, first Krishna speaks about just as the soul passes into this body. Kaumaram Yavanam Jara. Boyhood to youth to old age. Similarly, the soul passes into another body. Principle comes first and then he'll give example. Just like how you change your clothes, like that, the soul also changes its own cloth, which is the body, like that. Here, Krishna is giving example first and then he will say the principle. Okay, so here first Krishna is giving example. Example of who? Janaka. Janaka is father of Mother Sita. He is also one of the 12 Mahajans. So here he is saying, Karmaneva hi samsiddhim. So far he is giving the principles, but now he will say, so far he is telling about the principle of how a jnani should work. Jnani without attachment should work. Now he is giving example of someone who has attained the perfection. Who is it? Janaka. Okay, 12 Mahajans. Come on, anyone? Okay, one who knows all the 12, don't speak. Okay, others? Okay, Shiva, anyone else? Sorry, what? Bhishma Pitama, Four Kumaras, Yamaraj, Janaka, any other? Prahlad Maharaj, sorry, who? Bali, Dhruv Maharaj is not. Shukadeva Goswami, Narada Muni. Okay, Prabhuji, now go on. Swayambhu Narada Shambhu. Yamaraj also. Okay, Bali, Vaiyasaki, Vayam. Yamaraj is saying Vayam means I am also, me too. Okay, Vaiyasaki means here it refers to Lord, Vyasadev's son, which is Shukadeva Goswami. Okay, so this Janaka is also one of the 12 Mahajans. So here he is saying Karmaneva hi samsiddhim. Siddhim means what? Perfection. Siddhi. Who is being given as an example for somebody who worked to perfection. He is saying Astita Janaka Adayaha. Adayaha means great kings like Janaka and other kings, not just only Janaka. Okay, in this section, Krishna will give 3 examples. One is Janaka, second is other kings like Janaka, third is he himself. Krishna will give himself also as example. We'll see in subsequent verses. Of people who didn't have any desires. Okay, Janaka Maharaj, there is one Leela, many Leela there. One instance, he sits there and he hears Krishna Katha from Ashtavakra Muni. At that time, the soldiers come running saying, my lord, the palace is on fire. Janaka Maharaj says, we are all in samsara dava nalalita loka. We are in the forest fire of this material existence. Compared to this fire, that fire is nothing. Let it burn. You continue, Guruji. He continued to hear. So he is so perfect, not attached at all. Okay, so this is Janaka. And Krishna's, Lord Ram's father-in-law. So here he is giving Janaka Maharaj as one of the example. Janaka Adayaha. Other kings also. Any other kings come to your mind? Prithu Maharaj, any other? We saw one other king today. Who is that? Ambarish Maharaj, thank you. Who else? Any other Raja Rishis we have come across in the Shastras? Come on.
For sure.
Yudhishthir Maharaj, yes. Any other? Louder? Why is everyone so shy? Lord Ram, any other? Devotees of the Lord who are great saintly kings. Manu, Parashuram is not a king. Prahlad Maharaj, Bhishma, Dhruva, you come across so many. Okay, so here Adayaha refers to all those kings. Okay, so Karmaneva hi samsiddhim astita Janaka Adayaha loka sangraham evapi. This is very important. This is the segue for the subsequent verses. Loka sangraham evapi. Loka sangraham means to favor the general population. Great kings who have attained perfection in the process of yoga, they performed their duties. For what? Loka sangraham evapi. Simply to benefit the people, to set good example for the people, to inspire the people how to act in their worldly duties. Understand? So, karmaneva hi samsiddham astita janaka adayaha loka sangraham, for the people in general. Evapi also sampashyan kartum arhasi. So he is saying kings such as Janaka attained perfection solely by performance of prescribed duties. Therefore, just for the sake of educating people, Loka Sangraham, educating the people in general, you should also perform your work. Okay. A Jnani doesn't have any duty to perform because they don't have any desires to fulfill. But Jnanis also have no reason not to perform. But one of the reasons for them to perform is to educate people in general. And Krishna will speak on the negative also later. And Krishna would use himself also as example. Even I have no desires, still I also work. If I don't work, this whole world will be put to ruination. Why? Because everyone will say, even Supreme Lord didn't work, I don't have to. But that Supreme Lord, it's Dwarkadish Krishna, not Vrindavan Krishna. Vrindavan Krishna, you can't follow him. Try your luck. You can't lift Govardhan Hill. Start from there. It won't work. Okay. Dwarkadish Krishna's instructions. which we are hearing through Bhagavad Gita, we can follow. This is Dwarkadish Krishna giving. Okay. We'll stop here. Any questions? Yes, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, I have a question. It's for my own benefit. From the difference of Nishkam Kam Yoga and Bhakti Yoga. So quite early on in the session, and thank you so much for your team. So, Prabhu, you said Bhakti Yoga is following the authorities and not being attached to the service itself, remaining unattached. So, Prabhu, my clarification is that I find that I am more happy in Krishna consciousness when I am doing activities which I find favorable to my nature, and if I'm say forced into doing services which I don't feel favorable to, then I feel like I'm unhappy in Krishna consciousness. So how do I reconcile that
Good question.
inner feeling inside myself?
Two things. One is very good question. One is, first of all, once Chaitanya Sharan Prabhu, when he came, he gave in Bhagavatam class, he said, in our lives, we need to have at least one mentor who we can trust more than even our own mind. Why? Because if I'm an illusion, I cannot be convinced by myself that I'm an illusion. Understand? So I need to have at least one other person who I can trust more than my own mind. So when I am an illusion, they can pull me out. But if I think when I go into illusion, at that time I can actually ask people, well, if you can figure out that much, you would have come out of illusion. That's the whole definition of illusion. Okay, that's point number one. Point number two, definitely it is recommended to engage ourselves in services based on our psychophysical nature. Absolutely no doubt. Whose psychophysical nature it is to go to the street, distribute books and get rejected? Whose psychophysical nature it is to come to the kitchen? I don't need to tell those of you who have served in kitchen, standing in wet ground, wet shoes, hot water, scrubbing, except their selfless love for Radha Gopinath and their devotees. One of the most toughest services. Difficult. Whose psychophysical nature is that? It is a burden of love. If we think I will actually go based on psychophysical nature, there is a big chance that we will fall into the trap of being cozy. How can I push myself out of my comfort zone? Impossible. That is why we need to put ourselves under an authority who we can trust even more than our mind. So they know when to push, and we'll have no problem trusting their push. Otherwise, we are limited to wherever we are. That's why it's nobody's psychophysical nature for devotees to go out and collect funds. Rejection. Nobody's psychophysical nature to go to the kitchen. One devotee tells me, Rampriya Prabhu tells me, he must be like mid-70s now. He told me, Prabhu, he comes to temple for 2 days in a week for service. He says, Prabhu, 5 days, I'm like this. Sunday, I get like this. Monday, I'm like this. Because he comes to service for both the days. And then Tuesday, again, I'm going like this. So I want to come more. I said, Prabhu, you live far. Even 2 days is like more. And there are other devotees also who want to engage. You know what he tells me? No, you go and tell them that I'm an old man. I won't be around for long. So you ask them to give their service to me. Then that way I'll be able to come every day. Prabhu, I reject that idea. So point is, as much as we have to be engaged in psychophysical nature, that's why most important thing is putting ourselves under the care of the devotee. We can't force. Otherwise, there is no growth. We won't come out of our comfort zone. Okay, but if we put ourselves under someone else who we can't trust, even with all good intention, they tell us to do, we think, they are exploiting me. Then we are stuck, even genuinely, if they say. I'll give you one example. There was one devotee, Russian brahmachari. This happened in Mayapur. he was seated on the top of the terrace of the Brahmachari ashram, sitting and chanting. And he was holding his bead, dozed off, and he fell, unfortunately, from the terrace, broke his back. Later on, two brahmacharis, Mayapur brahmacharis, they actually said, actually, we saw him. We came to dry the clothes. Actually, we saw him dozing off. Now, naturally, this question comes, right? Hey, that means you should have gone and stopped them. But they had a valid point. Their point is, prabhuji, but we don't know whether we'll do aparad or not by telling him. That's the risk. Now, who's the loser here? Understand? So, we have to be careful there. We can't be totally independent also. Prabhupada says, actually, Prabhupada says devotees must be independently thoughtful. I was hearing Devaki Prabhu's class, Devakinandan Prabhu's class. He said, people always quote Prabhupada saying, Prabhupada said, devotees have to be independently thoughtful. But he said, when you observe carefully, you will understand the devotees are more independent and less thoughtful.
Very true.
So we can quote left, right, and center to suit, our own hidden agenda. But at the end of the day, we can't cheat ourselves. When many times you will observe some devotees, they just came now. But then suddenly you will see them progressing so much. It will sometime even feel that, only those devotees are being favored. That's not how it is. Prabhupada said in one place, we are not a classless society. When Prabhupada said, I want to introduce Sankirtan Award certificate for best book distributors, then devotees said, Prabhupada, if you do that, it will discourage others. Prabhupada says, no, we are not after creating a classless society. And Prabhupada says, communists, they try that. And Prabhupada says it flopped. Our principle is, whoever does service, we encourage them, so they can do better service. And who's not doing much, they can look at others and they can also feel inspired and go. Okay, that should be the principle always. Okay, so that balance has to be maintained. First thing is, but most important thing, we need to put ourselves under the care of someone who we can trust. And we have to find some people. Otherwise, it's very difficult. But we can't say, how many Siksha Gurus do you have? I have 6. You have a problem. You can't have 6 Siksha Gurus. In the sense, somebody who's taking ownership and guiding, it won't work. Instructions you can hear. You can have 1 or 2 devotees max with whom you can do Guhyama Gati Prachati. You can open your heart and you can speak. Others, you should be able to, you can hear philosophy, but revealing your mind and everything, you should do 1 or 2. These days, you tell to one person, it will go around, it will be in your social media straight away. So you have to be careful. Okay. Thank you, bro. Hare Krishna. Any other question? Jai. Thank you very much, Hemang Chaitanya Prabhu, for all your inspiration and for arranging this opportunity to take some association of the devotees. I watched some of the classes. When I came here, my mind was blank.
Now my mind is blank. Prabhu has raised the bar so high. So next class Prabhu will take, is that okay?
Thank you very much. So, thank you all very much. It's a very thankless task, especially if you are teaching. If you think, I know about this, can you imagine, in theory, I'm saying, how much boring it can be for the teacher to repeat the same thing over and over again. It's difficult, more austere. So the more we actually encourage each other, which means when you are attending online, I know the screen is shared. So please show your lotus faces also. So devotees also will feel inspired, others, and you can also give an opportunity for the teacher to understand, okay, how much, like today I had the luxury to see, and at some point I can see, many of you went to Yoga Nidra. Whenever I saw, I pretend that I didn't see. Don't worry. Swajati, I have also realized knowledge on that. Happens. But it's easy here to adjust, raise the voice, do that. Sometimes devotees say, Prabhu, why do you shout in Bhagavatam class? Only I know what I'm seeing. You can't see. Have you looked at people's eyes and you can't see the black portion in there? I have seen. And you still have to pretend and you still have to preach. I'm like, what is this? Happens early in the morning, but we have to do. Understand? So please give yourself an opportunity. Shastras means I've said this before. Chanakya Pandit says you can study Shastras in twos. Austerity you do alone. Studying Shastras you do in threes. Twos. Studying Shastras. Kirtan you do in threes. Traveling you do in fours. Okay, so Shastra means it has to be two-way. It cannot be one-way. So if it's totally up to you. If you want to keep your journey very ecstatic, very inspiring, then it's totally up to you. If you engage yourself, you will see the reciprocation from the Shastra, you will see reciprocation from the teachers. But the more you think like, okay, let me just sit down or let me do everything else except sitting and hearing. I always said this, you will never fail in the exam. We'll never hold back the certificate. You will get all of that. I can even give you now. It won't have any value. That's a different story. Even literally, it won't have any value. What's the use? Prabhu always quotes Radhanath Maharaj. When Yamadutas come, you can't show Bhakti Sastri certificate. So none of that you can take. So you are here for Istasyamiti me matihi, to worship Krishna through intelligence. And if you do that, then you will stand to gain. Okay, so develop that relationship with the books. This is something you will carry beyond Bhakti Shastri degree. Thank you all very much for your kind attention. Yes, Prabhuji.
Really, just it's a nice opportunity for me to say that online is very good. I try to be very careful not to overspeak. That comes by nature, that trying to be a smart boy. But I do use chat quite often as a platform to speak out. Might be encouraging. I actually miss that too. That not to overspeak and the same time use the chat. So it'll be nice to others also can participate and then reply each other would be nice.
Definitely. One thing we do, they encourage in Mayapur Institute. I do Bhakti Vaibhav in Mayapur Institute. So Saturday 3 hours class, Sunday 3 hours class. Thankfully, today I didn't have. Prabhu has given me a very nice day. But today I thought, oh, I have free time. And then when catering order came to Gopinathas, I'm like, okay, where is it? Oran Park. Thank you very much. I had to drive 1 hour queue and then rushed back here. So anyway, so one thing we were encouraged to do, and they have it in Middle East also. Like, there was one Bhakti Shastri class I was giving. There also they encourage is to have a separate peer group among the devotees, wherein you don't have class announcements or anything. But if you have any particular section that you have questions or anything, you can always do that. Otherwise, in the main one where Sundar Gopal Prabhu is running, you can't spam. And Yash is posting, invites for the classes. That group you can't spam. But one thing we can encourage is you can have a peer group. There you can actually do. So, and sometimes if I give a Bhagavatam class on some section, I even share, hey, I gave this, I found this to be helpful for you. Like that, even to my fellow classmates. Sometimes they also share because they are senior devotees, they are also share. So what I'm saying is that's how you learn. That's how you understand where others are actually going. And that's how it's totally up to you. The journey we are in it together. I am very fortunate to have Hemang Chaitanya Prabhu's Sangha since 2006. I know you don't feel like that. I feel. So it's like 20 years from Spiritual Seekers days. Since then, Prabhu has preached so much, made so many devotees did. My service has been different. Still, we have always stayed in touch. So it's totally up to us. Now, one excuse I can give is, I'm a brahmachari, Prabhu is a grahastha. I am preaching to youth, brahmacharis, Prabhu is preaching to grahasthas. We can keep on finding differences, or we can still come to common platform, and you can always still find ways to actually get inspired from. So Bhakti Shastri, it's totally up to you. You can still see it as, okay, I'm going there doing a course, fine, bye-bye, you can go. That's one way. Or the other way is, okay, I'm in this journey, so I can be in it together. And we can do. And you will develop friendships. Like, I started to do Bhakti Vaibhav. We did in January. We started in January. Anandamai Gopinath Prabhu in Sydney. So we both are in the same batch. We went half, and one day we were talking and said, like, yeah, we can actually finish Bhakti Vaibhav, Bhakti Sarvabhauma. We can finish Bhakti Vedanta, everything. Are you in it? He said, okay, I'm in it. Okay, let's do together. It's going to take another 7-8 years. But Saturday, Sunday afternoon, 3 hours will gone. But can't do much. So it's totally up to you. How you find inspiration, how you want to build it. If you see it as a burden, it is a burden. But if you see it as a good opportunity, okay, I want to. This is once in a lifetime opportunity. This is the only time when I actually get to read, to study. Let me just to see where it takes me. Do that. One thing I can tell you, in Krishna consciousness, I always see you, I always preach to new people. I always, because you stay in the temple, you will see. You can always see the progress of how fast devotees go. I can almost tell you for certain there is only one defining principle of devotees who progress faster versus those who grow slower. Now, if people want to make controversies, they can make. I take it for breakfast. One devotee asked, "How do you take?" That's all. Okay, I live with the controversies. This is nothing. Okay, we deal with that all the time. So much so I get immune to it. Sometimes I tell people, you want to pull me down? Don't try politics. It won't work. So point here is that if you really see it, you will see one trait. And I can tell you over the years, I have noticed those who take their 16 rounds chanting seriously, not that alone. Those who take 16 rounds chanting seriously, chanting of 16 rounds seriously, plus those who have the habit of regularly reading, only they progress steadily. Only they withstand the storms of life. Only their enthusiasm goes on an exponential curve. Otherwise, it goes like sinusoidal curve. There is no shortcut. There is no other way to it. Okay, how much Prabhupada's books mean to us in our spiritual life, how much Prabhupada emphasized on the need for us to read his books can never be overstated. Okay, it is so important, more important than your home deity worship, more important than anything else. If you do these two things steady, chanting 16 rounds attentively and reading Prabhupada's books regularly. Now, regularly how? That's up to you. You want to read every day is ideal, at least 10 minutes, 2 days in a week, you can still sit and focus on it properly. Or you think, no, my life doesn't allow me to do, but I can read 2 hours solid in a week, whichever way. But some regularity has to be there. You do these two things, everything else will follow systematically like a clockwork. You know, your relationship with the devotees will be good. Your services will actually go. Your services will expand. Everything will go like clockwork. The more you try to fiddle with it, more we try to be over smart and try to, ignore the basics and think, no, I want to do something else, like, more. Foundation is weak, we can't last. Okay, generally, I have seen such devotees, they try, after some time, they play victim. You know what? The class was boring. I didn't get good guidance. I didn't get good teacher. So many things they do. Playing victim is very easy, and we are all experts in it. But responsible devotees means we take the responsibility and say, what is it that I can actually do? And Prabhupada has given us that simply if we take these two practices seriously. That's all. Chanting 16 rounds as much as possible attentively. Sometimes you may doze off, that's okay. But take it as a priority. Likewise, reading Srila Prabhupada's books. Ideal is reading every day. If not, at least a set number of hours. If you are Bhakti Shastris, you should be reading at least 2 hours every week. Anything less than that, good luck with that. You will only get certificate. You won't actually get that knowledge and wisdom as much as you would actually like to do. Okay. Sometimes you may have other work here and there. Sometimes it's a bit of a stretch. That's okay. Krishna will understand, but Krishna will definitely notice how much effort you are putting. Okay. Krishna won't give himself for cheap that easy. We need to put the effort. You want, you need to take. You see Brahma, just to understand who is his creator, he had to sit and meditate for 100 celestial years, just to know who's my father. Has anyone here after you were born? Who's my father? I need to do tapasya now. No. Just to know that much, he has to do. So revelation didn't come easy. Prabhupada had to struggle so much. This is how easy it can possibly get. Okay, so my humble request, suggestion to you is, please try sincerely. Now you may say, Prabhu, normally our mind says, anyway, I didn't do properly first 2 chapters, doesn't matter. You can start now. Okay, continuous improvement is better than delayed perfection. Radhanath Maharaj quotes that. Okay, I think some Greek philosopher said that. Continuous improvement is better than delayed perfection. We always think, I will wait and do it perfectly. It never works in material world. So you do, okay, 2 chapters I didn't do properly. Okay, 3rd chapter onwards, let me do. Till 20th verse I didn't do, no problem properly. 21st verse onwards, let me do properly. half the class I slept, doesn't matter. I saw a good comeback today. You know, you pull yourself up again and do. Understand? So like that, we have to try little bit, we need to push. And the more we do, as I said, it's totally up to us. You can make good friendships, good relationships with this group, and you can grow together. So 20 years from now, you can sit with one other devotee in the group and give class like this. Like what Prabhu is doing with me, or I am doing with Prabhu. Okay, so it's totally up to us. Or we think, when will the class finish? Prabhu, you said 5 minutes, it's already 40 minutes. Yeah, I know. You know? So please keep that in mind and take it seriously. Like it's just once we are doing in our life, just put a little bit effort. Trust me, you will feel thankful and you will feel grateful. And as we progress in our spiritual life, you will value whatever association you had received earlier, and you will value it even more when you don't have it. Okay, so please take studying of the Shastras seriously. Tomorrow is Gita Jayanti, auspicious day to start reading Gita, even if you haven't opened the book at all. So please do take it up. Okay. Thank you. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki, Shri Radha Gopinath Bhagavan ki, Aved Gaur Bhakta Vrind ki, Jagannath Bhakti Sastri Group ki, Jai Nitai Gaura Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki.
Grace Ghanashyam Govind Prabhu ki. His Grace Hemang Chaitanya Prabhu ki.
Hare Krishna, before you can get up, actually stretch your legs. Really like to thank you, all of you, for coming in big numbers. Prabhuji's house is
No, Prabhu, this is really good. Thank you.
Your house is a Vaikuntha, Prabhu.
Your house is a Vaikuntha. You have Gaur Nitai, Radha Krishna, Laddu Gopal, Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Marani, Panchatattva. Everyone is here.
Also, we'd like to thank Ghanashyam Prabhuji. He's been running since morning program, morning seva, morning some program at 10 o'clock, some Abhishek programs, and went to Orankar running here. So we'd like to thank you, Ghanashyam Prabhuji.
Thank you for the opportunity.
His time and energy, what he's putting in the class, you can see everyone's energy is up. I'd like to say Hare Krishna, Mahamantra for Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Prabhuji has been really nice points for all of us to get some encouragement to read Bhagavad Gita, especially starting from tomorrow as Gita Jayanti. Please take it seriously for your own benefit. As Prabhuji said, certificate we can get today or tomorrow. Prabhu will provide that, but that's not good enough. So yeah, please find every day or weekly, whatever works for you, because this is only for our journey, not for anyone else. So yeah, please take it seriously. And also we have some prasadam.
Yes,
by
please.
Srinivas Prabhuji.
Please,
So
everyone,
don't leave.
kindly please take the pressure.
Has made a lot of love, a nice prasadam. So please have a seat if you can. Take some prasadam. Thank you everyone again. And hopefully we'll see you in another 3 months at least.
Yeah, that's a very good practice. At least keep once every 3 months. It'll be really
December January is coming. We'll have I think 7. Yes, Prabhu is here. Let's go.
schedule.
17th, yeah, 17th December we'll have the last class of the year. It will open in mid-January, whatever the midweek is.